Welcome to the world of probiotic foods. This is Cultured Food Life with your host, Donna Schwenk.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be talking about the effect that bacteria and the microbes in your gut have on your brain. And a healthy body isn't the only result of consuming good bacteria. Having a healthy gut also leads to a very healthy emotional state. So let me tell you a story. Before I ever found cultured foods, I was a different person, both physically and emotionally. As a young woman in my 20s and 30s, I would get upset very easily. I didn't smile as much as I do now. I simply wasn't as happy as I am now. And I'm sad to say that I often felt grouchy and I would snap at my kids. I seemed to have a shorter fuse. But I noticed that when I started to eat cultured foods, everything changed for me. This summer, I started to really clean up my diet and started adding cultured foods. I started to realize that I didn't get as cross with my kids. Things didn't bother me as much. And I began to wonder how food, especially cultured foods and healthy whole foods, could really change someone's state of being without them doing anything but changing the foods they ate. Since that time, and this was over 21 years ago, I came upon research that has really helped me understand what's happening in my life. So, an article that was published in National News talks about a study out of Oxford University in the UK that was led by Drew Ramsey. Now, this article discusses Dr. Ramsey's finding about nutritional deficiency and that it was a major cause of behavioral abnormalities. And what he discovered was without the proper nutrients, the body cannot produce the appropriate chemicals and hormones required for clear thinking, a healthy mood, which really in turn can lead to irrational or even dangerous behavior. I have really witnessed this, and I don't think I'm an extreme case at all. I don't think I have wild mood swings, but I really did notice subtle changes in my behavior and my mood after cultured foods. And then fast forward many years later, I've even discovered more this year, and I'll get into that later, about what cultured food has really changed me. It has helped me really even get more calm, more joy, less obsessive thinking. And it was single bacteria that really did it. So let's get into that in a minute. So let's go back to his study. Now, the study that Dr. Drew Ramsey did was he conducted an attempt to see how diet affects mood and behavior, and it was done on prison inmates who were split into two groups. The first group was given vitamin supplements, and the second was given a diet of junk food, which he found that the people in the first group became much more calm and less aggressive. Now, a nutritionist named Nicolette Pace said deficiencies in nutrients, magnesium and manganese, vitamin C, B vitamins can make a person hyperactive toward a stressor and have a short fuse, so to speak. So they get upset really fast. But junk food just doesn't give your body what you need to cope with everyday stressors. And that means that anything you can do with your body to help it absorb more nutrients, such as getting more healthy bacteria in your gut, more vitamins and minerals, will help your emotional state. And I have seen this time and time again, even in myself, that the more nutrients I absorb, the better I feel, the better I'm able to cope with things. B vitamins, vitamin C are very important vitamins that you need when you're under stress. And minerals like magnesium, it does 300 processes in the body. It helps you to calm down. It calms your central nervous system. It does so many things. And it is so important for people that we're doing another podcast on magnesium because so many people need it. And so many people are deficient in it, and especially me. It has been crucial in my life to get extra magnesium because I was really missing it. And it caused a lot of problems early on in my life that I didn't know about. So another study by John Cryan, he's in neuroscience, and he's in Ireland, conducted another study that had compelling links between gut health and mental health. Now, in his study, anxious mice were dosed with probiotic bacteria lactobacillus, which has many species in it. But for this, well, we could go all day about how many different types of lactobacillus, but that's what he gave them. And what he found was this decreased stress hormones and even had an increase in brain receptors for neurotransmitters that are vital in curbing things like worry, anxiety, and fear. Now, why would that happen? One reason is that 90% of the body's total serotonin, and some people say it's 95, that feel-good chemical leads to happiness and a sense of well-being, is produced in the digestive tract and only 5% in the brain. So it's really, really interesting to me that nobody really talks about that. Everybody thinks it's all about the brain, but they always call the gut the second brain. And serotonin is produced in a different anatomical location. So in the brain, it acts as a neurotransmitter, and in the periphery, it acts as a hormone. Serotonin does not cross the blood-brain barrier, therefore the two major pools remain separated. So although 95% of the serotonin is produced in the gut and is peripheral, the functions have been ignored until recently because they only thought about the brain. Peripheral serotonin is produced in the digestive tract by EC cells. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. Endochromafin, or EC cells. Researchers at Caltech found that the EC cells from germ-free mice produce 60% less serotonin than their peers with conventional bacterial colonies. So they had no bacteria in them. And they didn't produce very much serotonin because they didn't have the bacteria that you need to produce that. When these germ-free mice were recolonized with normal gut microbes for mice, their serotonin levels went back up, showing that the deficiency in serotonin can be reversed. Now, recently, we have introduced a new yogurt called L-Reuterized Superfood Yogurt. What is so surprising about this yogurt is that it's known to release the hormone oxytocin from the human brain. And if you've ever had a baby or been in love, you know how wonderful oxytocin can be. As this hormone releases, we feel more love and connectedness. Things that people do don't bother us as much. We have more love and compassion for one another. And I really believe we were all designed to love and help one another like this. But when we start missing key microbes, we start to feel symptoms that often come in the form of emotions. Now, let me tell you first, when I first heard about this, L-Reuterite creating oxytocin, I was like, I'm not so sure I believe that's true. And I thought, I don't know if it could really do that. But after eating it for about a month to really 3 months is when I really noticed it. I had about a half a cup a day. And then I started seeing things with my family because my family was eating it because they are, after all, my guinea pigs. And I started to see differences in every single person in my family, including myself. The first thing I noticed for myself was that it stopped that, that circular thinking in your brain when you're worried about something and you keep thinking about it over and over again, trying to figure it out. And that kind of stopped. It calmed down. Especially late at night is when I would do that. I would be worrying about something and I would just keep thinking and thinking, couldn't go to sleep. And that stopped. I remember that. And then it wasn't too long after that, my son called me on the phone and he was coming home from work and he was singing on the way home. And I'm like, whoa, I've never heard him do that before. And then my youngest daughter, Holly, who is 20, could not stop hugging me after a few weeks of eating this yogurt. It was like a month in. I noticed that she was just hugging me all the time, which was very, very sweet. And then she said to me, Mom, all my anxiety, she was getting ready to, I can't remember what she had anxiety. I think it was that she was auditioning for something, a play or something. And she said all of her anxiety just disappeared and she wasn't having it like she normally did about callbacks and things like that. It just kind of evaporated and she didn't know why. And then one day my husband was in the kitchen and he dropped and shattered an entire gallon jug of tea on the floor. Normally that would kind of upset him. And I watched him as he shrugged his shoulders and laughed and said, oh, well, and then just proceeded to tell me how great I looked that day without losing a beat over the mess he was cleaning up. Normally he wouldn't do that. So he would not want to be cleaning up that mess, and he was completely unfazed by it. I just could tell everybody started feeling better. And everybody was, helping me clean up after themselves and doing dishes. And I'm like, what is going on in this house? And it was really funny with my daughter, Macy, because in the beginning, she kind of fought me on this. She's like, I don't really think it does all that. It took a while for her. It took longer for her, like 2-3 months. And then one day we were together and she said, okay, so I don't want you to get snarky about this, but I do feel a lot better from that yogurt. I am sleeping like crazy because it does help you to get really deep sleep, which is one of my favorite things that it does. And she says, I feel so much better and it does work. And I don't want you to say I told you so. So, which was really funny. So it has affected every single person in my family in a very profound way. And then I started getting emails from everybody and they were saying the same thing. They were having, so much deeper sleep, feeling better. So in my opinion, bring on the oxytocin. We all need more love and compassion. And here's the thing. If you've had one antibiotic, chances are you are completely missing the bacteria L. reuteri from your body. It lives in the upper gastro area. It doesn't live in the colon like a lot of bacteria does. But 94% of the population is missing this very important bacteria that every animal has. Those people who, like the tribes and the Hunza who have not been on antibiotics, are kind of out of the general population of the world in their own tribes, where they don't get a lot of the types of, drugs and things we get. They don't do that. They all have L. reuteri, but we are missing it. And 94% of us, at least, especially if you've had an antibiotic, then you're missing it. And it is I'm just so shocked by it that this one particular strain of bacteria has had such a profound effect on me. And not just about my emotions or sleeping, but in many other ways too, like my skin is better, I have more energy, I have more muscle, I've had less recovery time from workouts, and I just feel immensely better. I've written a lot about it. I talk a lot about it because I'm really surprised by it, guys, because I thought I had it all figured out. And then L. reuteri came along and knocked my socks off and continued to do so. I feel so much better after doing this since March of last year is when I started taking it, and what a difference it has made on my whole family. And so many people, we get so many emails about it, and what a difference it has made. And it's easy to make. It's a little bit more time consuming. It takes 36 hours to make the yogurt, but you can make a lot all at once because you have to ferment it for quite a while so that it can have time to ferment and grow and multiply, because it's really, really interesting when you make this. The L. reuteri really doesn't really proliferate until it gets to the 30-hour mark when you're making this yogurt, and then it starts to skyrocket. It's kind of cool how it works. And you just make it in a yogurt maker. We have special yogurt makers that will go 36 hours that I recommend. You can get, there's a bunch of different ones, and I have the link to them. But anyway, guys, it's so worth making it, especially if you're struggling with your emotions or wanting to feel more calm or more joy in your life. I'm telling you, it's amazing because you're going to get a lot of deep sleep from it, and it's going to be an amazing thing to add to your diet and to your gut. It's going to change your microbes, and we're missing some of these special microbes, and they're important. And there is some L. reuteri kefir, but it's a different strain, and it's not as strong because there's 50 other bacteria in there. So it's really worth the making. Okay, I've said enough about it, but I wanted to emphasize how important I think it is. Okay, now, social anxiety in fermented foods. There have been some studies done, and I want to share it with you because it's really interesting. Now, William and Mary College psychology professors Matthew Hillamore and Catherine Forrestal recently joined with the University of Maryland School of Social Work and the assistant professor Jordan DeValder for a study. And it was conducted on June 18th, 2015, and it showed that a diet rich in fermented foods and drinks that contain probiotics will help curb social anxiety in young adults. And social anxiety is a disorder that fills you with fear of being judged by others or embarrassed in front of in an ordinary situation. And the researchers looked into whether eating fermented foods could help more of a traditional type treatment than medication or cognitive behavioral therapy. So the study published in Psychiatry Research included 710 students, and they were all taking a psychology course at the William and Mary College. They filled out questionnaires about their fermented food eating habits and rated how worried or neurotic they tended to be, and also said whether or not they had social anxiety. The questionnaire asked about a variety of foods, including yogurt or food and drinks that contain yogurt, kefir, soy, milk kefir, miso, soups, sauerkrauts, dark chocolate, juices that contained, microalgae like pickles and kimchi that have probiotics too. So while not all of the foods necessarily have live active cultures, because some things, regular pickles don't have, ones that are canned in vinegars, don't have probiotics. You have to get the live fermented pickles in the refrigerated section at health food stores is where you usually get them or make your own. Those have live cultures, and some of them the kids put down didn't. But they still had the potential to contain prebiotics, which feed your gut microbes. So the researchers also considered factors including eating healthy foods, exercise, along with analyzing their answers to look for underlying patterns. Among those reporting a neurotic disposition and those who had strong things that were creating social anxiety in them, exercise, eating more fruits and vegetables, more probiotic foods, each markedly reduced the anxiety symptoms. So exercise, eating more fruits and vegetables, eating fermented foods that have probiotics in them were all helped reduce anxiety. And guys, I have really seen this with my daughter, my youngest daughter. She can have a tendency to have anxiety sometimes. And she just again and again and again will tell me that, these foods really help her calm down, especially if she has a smoothie every morning. And usually we put kefir and Reuteri in the smoothie with fruit, like strawberries. She likes strawberries and bananas, and we put apple peel powder in there, which also helps increase the good bacteria in your gut, which is called Akkermansia, that keeps your gut lining sealed off. And we have that almost every morning because I just double my smoothie in the morning and give her half of it. And I do different things, but mostly it has kefir and Reuteri and then some frozen fruit and then some apple peel or simple red powders, which are red phenol powders, which have apple peel in them too. And I try to do that at least. I try to put the apple peel or the red phenol every other day. And but the kefir smoothies and the Reuteri smoothie she has every day. And she said it greatly reduces her anxiety. So researchers stated that probiotics reduce inflammation in the gut. And because the anxiety, and this is very, very true, is often accompanied by gastrointestinal symptoms, reducing your gut inflammation helps alleviate those symptoms. So probiotics have also shown to modify the body's response to stress, and the stress response is highly linked to mental health disorders such as social anxiety. So the researchers reacted by saying, research on the gut is expanding a lot. And this study is interesting on how it all ties together some relative threads of personality, food intake, and exercise. And the information was not collected from a clinical sample of people with diagnosed anxiety disorders, but the participants were just first year of psychology students in an American liberal arts university. So this means the results have implications for a broad population of people and their health. And bacteria is the gut produced, your gut bacteria in your gut produces vitamins and breaks down our food and helps to turn it into things that can create calmness in the body, be the gut and the brain, because the absence of inflammation and the absence of harmful bacteria in the gut really changes not only your physical body, but your mental health as well. Now, I got one more study I want to talk to you about, and this was done in Norway. And what they did was they examined feces from 55 people and found that certain bacteria were linked to be associated with depressive patients. So since we're talking about feces and microbes, let's talk about Mark Leet. He has worked in a small closet lab for 30 years in Texas Tech University Health Center Science University. And he's been working away examining feces from monkeys. And one day he got a sample from the monkey. He placed it in 18 vials, and he got them from different monkeys. And then he spun it down to centrifuge. And he got really excited because he couldn't believe what he saw. He found that the microbes were making neurochemicals. And nobody's thought that that could happen. So it was influencing the brain because as humans, we make the same stuff in our bodies. And all the communication has an influence on our behavior because microbes were affecting the neurochemicals in the brain, which was just shocking to him. So he wants to understand all the communication between our gut and our brains and the millions of processes that are going on. And he wants to establish how certain gut microbes influence the brain function, just as psychiatric drugs do. And he's compiling a big, huge list of psychoactive compounds that he found in the monkeys. Anxiety, depression, and several pediatric disorders, including autism and hyperactivity, have all been linked to gastrointestinal abnormalities. And I have seen that firsthand with some friends of mine. So here's the great change. Here's the great part. Changing your gut microbes is not invasive brain surgery. You're just changing what you eat. And this is the point. When you change what you eat, you change your brain. And so most of the time we just thought the brain and the gut were separate, and they're not. They're affecting each other. And it's, after 3 decades of research, and he said everybody dismissed him, but the National Institute of Mental Health just awarded him 4 grants worth $1 million each to spur new research on gut microbiome roles in mental health disorders. Now, that affirms the legitimacy of this field that has long struggled to attract real scientific credibility. Now, Light and one of his longtime colleagues received these 4 grants stated and said, "What we've been doing for more than 25 years has finally come to fruition. It seems reasonable to say that we might one day use microbes to diagnose neurodevelopmental disorders, treat mental health illnesses, and perhaps even fix them in the brain." And that's exciting. That's an exciting thing that's happening. Changing a person's bacteria can be challenging, but it's not really challenging if you know me, because I know how to do it. It's awesome. It's easier than altering your genes. And the easiest way to change your gut flora is to feed it probiotic and prebiotic foods. And that is what I have done for years, for a couple of decades. It's fun. It makes you feel great. It tastes delicious. And it's so much better than taking probiotic supplements, which are often killed by stomach acids and parts of, and gets into the parts of the bodies that they don't belong, which can cause problems. So when you eat a probiotic food, the food itself provides a little protective halo or armor around it that shields the friendly bacteria. It's naturally how the body's designed to take probiotics. It also speeds the transport out of the stomach, thus keeping the good bacteria intact. And, probiotic pills can get trapped in the acids of the stomach and killed before they get a chance to really use them. And consuming probiotic foods is such a great way to do this. I love kefir, which I've been doing for over 20 years. Kombucha, which is a fermented tea, which is absolutely delicious, which we love at our house. And cultured veggies, which are just vegetables chopped up, and you put in a culture and you let them ferment underwater, and they're delicious and they're fun and easy to make. And now we have these yogurts and we have several yogurts that are all different species that people are missing that are really changing people. People are loving them, and they're really helping them with many problems that I haven't even mentioned here. So my theory is when you feel good, you do good. It's a side effect of being happy. I would love to teach you how to do these foods. You don't have to do them all at once. Just take one. Just start with one. That's what I did. I started with one cultured food, and that was kefir. And then slowly I added the other ones, and what a difference it has made. And especially this last year when I added the additions of some of these yogurts. And so I have going to link the description below. I'm going to put all the yogurts here. You'll get to read. I've got kefir, kombucha, veggies, L-reuteri, everything I've talked about. I'll put all the links below so you can look at them. You can read more about them and understand just how to change your own gut bacteria and thereby change your mood and your emotions, and for the better. So give them a whirl. I'm always trying to find ways to help you, but honestly, I've done this so long, I'm really helping myself. It's just exciting to me that it's just food and it's not a drug. Everybody, is taking so many different prescription drugs, and they all have side effects. And this is just food. This is food for your body. Your body knows what to do with it. It knows how to utilize it. And your body's designed this way. And it's so much better for you. And it's fun to make. And they last for months in your fridge, guys, like months. I mean, kefir can last, oh gosh, I've had kefir that was 6 months old. It was still fine because the good bacteria preserves the food and keeps out pathogens. And that goes for most of the foods, cultured foods. So anyway, head on over to my site at culturedfoodlife.com, and I'll put all the links in the description below. Check out more about these foods. I have a little menu that has a smiley pot on it that says start here. Everything that you need is on there for free. I don't know how to do it. It shows you all the instructions, videos, everything you need to know how to make these foods, and it's all free on my site, so you can feel better and then you can do better. It's the reason I've been eating these foods for so long, because I never want to go back to the person that I was, and it has made all the difference for me. And I wanted to do that for you, and I want to show you how to do this for yourself. Once you have the keys that unlock the kingdom of feeling good, you'll never go back, and you don't have to listen to me. You'll want to feel that way, and that's what happened to me. That's why I keep eating and having these foods, because it has made such a difference, and I never want to feel the way that I used to feel again. So thank you guys for listening. I hope this helps you, and I hope that you can even go buy some of these at the health food store and try them out if you just want to try them and see how you do, and just add them, see what a difference it can make. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll talk to you next time.